Hello and welcome to this tutorial on setting up templates with the Excel integration for Maximizer. In this tutorial we will have a little look at the way in which the parts counting can be configured within a template, and we're going to do that by looking at the example used in the earlier demonstrations, the Ascona Winery wine purchase quotation. When we looked at this earlier, we saw that it has a second page, and the second page has a parts list in it, and this is what's going to be used inside the quotation template. Now there are some aspects of the way that this parts list is used that you may find useful to understand, but which are really just a use of Excel. They're nothing to do with the integration as such. And there are some aspects of it which must work in a particular way for the integration to work, and I'll try and explain those as we go along. So first let's just have a look at what we're talking about. The first aspect of it is the fact that our parts are coming up in the workbook here. This is straightforward Excel, it's nothing to do with Maximizer. Here I've got a list of 3 parts. They're being created by a data validation which is set up to create a list, and it's getting it from a source called red. If we have a look to see where that source red is, it's a range that appears on the other page here, and it's very important that this parts list is sorted. It has to be sorted correctly in order that your VLOOKUPs in Excel will work. And in this case the list has been sorted first by the category and then by the product name, and you can do that by just taking the area that you're interested in. In fact, you should include the heading row when you do this, and again this is standard Excel. We're going to go into here and we're going to do a data sort, and we're going to sort it by category first and product second, and then you just click OK, and this ensures that your VLOOKUP will work correctly. What we've actually done is we've created one list of our price list here, subgrouped into the 3 sections we're going to use, and then if we have a look, what we've then done is we've created 3 ranges. For example, with the red wine we've created one range that is called red, which is the area here. You can see it's come up in the top corner. There is another range which is called sparkling, which is this range here, and there is another range which is called white, which is this range here, and those 3 are used with the data validation to give you the parts list. And then inside the quotation part of the page we've also got some part numbers and some costs and things, and you'll see that the part number is being created by doing a VLOOKUP. It's looking up in that page on the MaxRef page. Again, this is standard Excel, it's not something that's part of the Maximizer integration, so this is just a help you get this to work. Here we've got the VLOOKUP which says look up whatever's in that cell using the list that is in the range called red prices, and then take the second column and put it in here. And if we go back, what we'll find is that there is a second range that's defined, which is this bit, which is the red prices range. So look up the thing the person picked and then take the second column, which is the part number, and put it in. And the price column in the quotation is done in exactly the same way, and the cost column in the hidden part of the example is done exactly the same way. So what we've effectively done is we've built our price list on here with all the parts we might possibly want to deal with. We have put in the user-defined field from Maximizer, and you can get those using the right codes for those. You can get using the parts picker, so you can go into the merge fields, and in this case the merge fields coming from the opportunity record, and in fact, just to be pedantic, it's a writable opportunity record. It's coming from the demo fields, and we're interested, and then here you can see op red total, which is the actually it's not that one we're using here, it's this one. Op demo red is that one there that's being counted. So these fields could be just copied into the workbook in that way, but because they're just text, if you know exactly what they are and you get them right, you can just copy them, paste them as you need to. So with our parts list complete, then you will generally find that you must have this column. You should have room for a parts column even if you don't use it. You should have a UDF column. Everything to the right of that is entirely up to you. You can keep adding columns as long as you like, but the first 3 columns must be in this order for the parts number lookup to work correctly. It must be able to find the unique product name here, it must be able to find the part number next to it, and it must be able to find the UDF that part number is going to be stored in. And then what happens in our... So really what we've looked at the moment is just how you've created on this workbook the ability to pick a part, have it put a part number in, have it put a cost in. That's all been done with the VLOOKUP. The clever bit that the integration provided was the ability for it to go down and find part RO2, find that there were 3 on the quotation, and then take RO2 and count that up as it went down the quotation and put it in the red wine count, which we saw in the previous session got written back to Maximizer. So how do we tell the system to do that? Well, it's in the settings, and it's pretty simple really. Let's just have a little look. Here's the settings that are part of this template document, and in this one we've got the parts lookup enabled is true. So when you press the update Maximizer button up here, the system will know that it has to go off and try and count the parts that are in the quotation as well as just writing back the values. So we'll have a look, and the system says you get the parts from the worksheet called MaxRef. And here's our MaxRef worksheet. And this option says if there are parts in the parts list that aren't used in the quote, do you want me to write zeros back? And usually you don't want to, otherwise you'll end up with thousands of values potentially that say 0 against an opportunity in the user-defined field, so that should normally be false. Then we describe to it where the first row in the document is that has parts in it, and this is row 21 here, we can see it on the left. So our first row is in row 21. The parts column is column F, so if I move across here we can see column F is where our parts numbers are. We're going to go down the workbook vertically for 150 rows from row 21, looking to see if we can find parts numbers in that F column. Every time you do, look in the B column, which is here, and count the quantity, and then use the details on the parts lookup page to decide where it goes. So in this example, we have decided that the 3 parts that are red wine all get counted in the same user-defined field. If you wanted, you could give them each their own field to count them, but in this case I've summarized the cases of red wine by putting them in one field, similarly the sparkling and similarly the white wine. And that's about all there is to it. Once that page is set up, then when you press the update, the settings that you've configured in here will automatically cause the parts to be counted and written back at the same time as any ranges that you set up that you wanted written back as well. Anyway, hopefully you found that helpful and easy to understand. The Ascona Winery quotation is installed with the client software, so you can have a look at it. If you do want to have a go with this template, do notice that I've provided on the right hand side here some advice on the fields that you need to add to your Ascona database in order for it to work. And of course in this example I left in some margin calculations which are in grey just so that you can see they're there, but in the real quotation when you were using it you probably wouldn't have that. Thank you for listening, and I hope that you found that interesting. If you haven't already got the software and you'd like a trial, please do contact your Maximizer reseller, or if they can't help you, come to us at C.A.B.C or Maximizer Software in the UK. Thank you very much. Goodbye.